Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 5, Episode 7, DJI Mini 3 on the horizon. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. Marcus will not be able to join us. He will be in the chat. Ron should be able to join us here in a little bit. Wanted to acknowledge everybody in the chat first. Got some housekeeping to take care of. Jaybird's in the house. Mr. Stephen Ewing, thank you for being a part of tonight's broadcast. Dr. Ted is in the house. Leonard Oglesby in the house. Flying Flynn Media is in the house. Drone Masters in the house. Let's see who else. Drone Views Media. Let's see who else we got. Fly Zone Drones. Matt Bagwell and Jose Luna. Okay. All right. First of all, a couple of things. One thing, a good thing, and I'm going to share this. This past Friday was February 11th. Well, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you probably know what that day is. But for those of you that aren't friends with me on Facebook, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here for a second. February 11th was Valerie and mine 11th wedding anniversary, 11 on 11. I know that. And that actually was a wedding picture taken at the hotel where we had our honeymoon. The limo driver he was the official photographer for the wedding. We got married at the Clerk of Courts over in Brandon, Florida, and my life has forever changed in the best way possible. And I can't thank God enough for Valerie. And she is a blessing to me beyond words. So just wanted to get that out there, and a very happy anniversary to you, my dear. I know you're not watching right now, but maybe you'll be rewatching the broadcast. So if you want to drop a line, drop a note in the comments here or that, I know she looks through them, and I'm sure she would greatly appreciate that. The other thing I want to touch on too is this is the obituary for my father-in-law. I posted this out on Bill the Drone Reviewer Facebook group and Facebook page, and you can see by the length of it, Dave had quite a family, and there are nothing but great memories of him. One of the things that I'm so fond of in remembering is just how much he teased me, how proud he was of me, and doing what I did to come down here from Ohio and marry his daughter and get her off her hands. I said a couple of times, "You take her back." He says, "No, you're stuck with her." So we had a running joke about that all the time. And he leaves a huge void in all our lives here. And we're going to be having a celebration of life come spring when the weather gets better and family can get together at a reasonable time. And if you're interested in memorial donations, you can check out the obituary again. It's on my Facebook group and page, and it's listed in the obituary. It's to the hospice that Dave was at. Also, too, I want to thank those of you who have sent cards, who have sent emails, who have dropped me Facebook messengers, and have just expressed, words of kindness and sympathy, and offered your prayers and support and encouragement at this time. On behalf of Valerie and her family, we all greatly appreciate it. And, this hits me as hard as it hit Valerie, because, both my parents have been gone for several years, and Dave and Janice, Valerie's mom, are my parents now. And this is not easy. This is not an easy thing. But again, I want to express sincere appreciation for everything that everyone has done. A thank you from all of us. There's a big void there, but I told Valerie, I said, the best way I'm going to remember that void is to remember all the funny stories he told me and all the funny things. I think I'm going to compile them and maybe do a video. So, but thank you all once again, for all that. Okay. All right. Got lots to talk about tonight. Like I said, Marcus isn't going to be able to join us tonight, but he will by his video. And we're going to play a clip from his latest video here in a second. It's encouraging. This news from Autel. we got some good things to talk about. Thank you, David Martin Graff. Appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead now. Many of if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna play a clip here of Marcus, and he's gonna explain here in this clip what exactly was causing the jello on his Nano. So let's go ahead, and I'll go ahead and share my screen here. So hang on a second.
Well, about that time, I heard from Autel Robotics directly from Bothell, Washington, and the folks in Autel, they contacted me via my YouTube channel, via my YouTube email address, and they said, "Hey, we see your problems," and they said, "Here's the problem with the drone," and they said, "We want to replace it." So they sent me a picture of the issue with the Nano Plus, and what it is the incorrect installation, or perhaps maybe even the wrong installation of the rubber isolators for the gimbal. And I'll put that picture up on the screen right now. And by the way, this is the picture that Autel sent to me. So you can see in the picture on the left the incorrect installation, and that's indeed how mine is. And then the picture on the right is the correct installation. So there's a little bit of weird information going out about you know, the way those are in there and so forth. But I'm telling you, this is direct from Autel, so it's an installation issue. So very generous of them to offer to send me another drone, right? So I said, man, that's awesome. I'm excited about this drone. It's a drone that I'm really interested in and want to keep flying. And hey, you know, the camera on it is just brilliant. I mean, I could tell by some of the pictures I had, the camera is amazing. So they, with absolutely no questions asked, just shipped me another drone. Well, in the meantime, I had already shipped the original drone that I bought back to Autel pilots in Shenzhen. And I told the folks at Autel at Autel Robotics corporate, and they said, hey, that's fine. We just want to make sure you have a good experience. Man, what a company. That's what I call customer service right there. So they did. They sent me a drone, and it arrived today. So I've got right here a new Autel Evo Nano Plus. This is just the standard version. I had originally ordered the premium bundle, but hey, I'm fine with it. I'm just tickled to death to have the drone. And let me pull this guy out of the box, and we'll take a look at how.
Going to go ahead and jump ahead here and look at some video from Marcus's new Evo Nano Plus.
Error where it's where it thinks it has.
Okay, I got an ad coming up here.
No medical exams on policies under 1 million.
Gotta love Facebook here, folks.
We're doing pretty good here. I'm banking it a little bit to my left, and we're looking into the sun. Let me drop that gimbal down. So, you know, the reason that that it's so dark right now is we're looking into the sun. Let's grab some altitude. And you know, the first thing I'm noticing about this thing is that it seems to be a lot more powerful. It's accelerating faster and it's ascending faster than my other Nano. So let's go ahead and let me get the grid lines right on the horizon. You can see I've got a crooked horizon. Just barely, but it is a crooked horizon. I mean, it's, you know, it's fairly significant, so that's not good either. But anyway, let's go full stick forward, and we're in standard mode. And again, I want to make sure that you know we are going into the sun, and let's see how quick the drone flies. I think 10 meters per second, I believe, is the standard mode. Well, how fast it's supposed to fly, and we're not even close to that. We're about 6 meters per second. So I don't know, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to turn off obstacle avoidance, So obstacle avoidance is off, and let's see if it goes any faster. So full stick forward again. And yeah, that doesn't seem to make any difference. In fact.
Okay. And by the way, for those of you that wondered, I did check with Marcus, and he let me go ahead and show this, which, but you can see right here, while the Jello is gone, problem I'm so acquainted with my Fimi X8 SE 2020 was the good old horizon tilt, and you can see it right there. It's there. So take it for what it's worth, guys. Take it for what it's worth. Okay. I'm kind of sorry to see that. Let's talk about some things. I kind of want to do a little bit of a debrief here on this, because I think it's important. Number one, do not buy drones from Autel Pilot. Okay. I know, Marcus bought from them and had multiple issues in trying to contact them, get a hold of them, file a claim with PayPal to get a refund, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I know others have had the same instance. They've had issues with Autel Pilot. So my best advice is, number one, do not deal with Autel Pilot. Okay. If you're going to buy, if you want to buy one off of a company here in the United States, like B&H Photo, Adorama, if and when Best Buy would show them, if and when Amazon would have them on, to, buy it from one of those here, a brick and mortar store here in the United States, where you can either take it back or send it back and know that you'll get taken care of. Okay. That's, and one of the other big takeaways here is Autel's response to Marcus. Okay. My hat tip, and I don't wear a hat tip to Autel. Okay. They really went to bat here, because they know Marcus, Marcus isn't a huge channel. I mean, we're in the same kind of ballpark here. Okay. We're not huge channels. We don't have 100K subscribers or more, but we have good followings, and we have these shows, Drone Nation on Monday night. We have Rotor Talk Live Tuesday night, and, get a lot of exposure. And I think it's important enough, and I think this is important for everybody, that, that Autel responded in an incredible way. They really did. Yeah. Okay. And Jose Luna brings up another one, and I wanted to bring that up too. And thank you, Jose, for posting that. Nano prices have gone up, and the light has gone up by $200. Okay. That's just, while they did a great thing, for Marcus, and I highly commend them for that. Okay. While they're doing that, they're raising prices. Okay. And wow. Okay. They found a problem. We got to see what the problem was. And this was great. I'm glad I played the video for you guys, so you got to see exactly what the problem was. And go back and watch Marcus's video. Watch his whole video. I encourage you to do that. And they identified a problem, which was great, and they've offered a resolution, and they took care of Marcus, which was fantastic. Okay. And Marcus also gets into details about him sending the other drone back, how much that cost him, and it was not cheap. Okay. It wasn't $25. All right. Let me put it this way. It was a lot more than that. And he had a lot of adventures with that. All right. Let's remember something here. And I think this is important here. Okay. Yes, he is, Akarasha. Very good. Yeah. Marcus is considered an influencer. Absolutely. He sure is. Let's remember this here, okay? These are mini drones, all right? Mini drones that go over, $700, $800, $900, okay? You're getting into territory where you could buy an Air 2S. You're not far off from being able to do that. If you wanted to look for a refurbished or still new Mavic 2. You could probably find one for a couple $100 more, $300 more. And companies like Hubsan, they're charging outrageous prices for mini drones, and Autel's doing the same thing. Okay. And, and as Stephen Ewing put, one of the things that the Nano doesn't do well is it doesn't have that wind resistance. And where he is in Ireland, I mean, that's a no-go for him. He just posted that in the chat. So, that's something you need to be aware of. Welcome to Art. Good to see you today, Art. Thanks for stopping by and being a part of the show tonight. So while there's some good news from Autel, there's some mixed news from Autel, and I think they need to get their act together here. And them raising prices is just, I don't know. Mr. Ron Brown, how are you?
Hey, Bill, how are you tonight?
Good to see you. We just went through and looked at part of Marcus's video where he explained the problem with the dampeners, and then watched part of the video, and we also got to see his horizon tilt, unfortunately, on the Nano. And then we were also talking about Autel's price increase as well too, which is that's bad.
It's not a whole lot of good news coming out of Autel, and we got a little, we got to do more research, Bill. We got a little bit of bomb dropped on us last night on Drone Nation. I believe Marcus and Johnny Droneflyer have been working with the same associate over at Autel. I forget the gentleman's name, but he's been helping them with their returns. But then Arizona Drone Dude, is he in your chat tonight?
Didn't see him.
He reported that he spoke to the same person that Marcus and Johnny did, and that gentleman's name, sorry, I can't recall the name, told him, "Oh, it's not a hardware issue. We have to wait for a firmware update."
Whoa.
Again, this is just what was said in the show last night. But I mean, it was, he did confirm. I think Arizona Drone Dude, he brought the name of the guy before Marcus said it. So it sounds pretty legit to me. There's Johnny in the chat. Maybe Johnny can help me recall if I'm saying anything wrong about that conversation, Johnny. But
Maddie just posted his name was Eric.
So that's not good, Bill. That something's changed already on that, is it?
No, it's not. And putting out conflicting news like that.
And I mentioned is that did Marcus get a different type of customer service because he has a quote big channel and somebody who doesn't have 13,000, I'm making a number up for Marcus, whatever, 15,000 subscribers doesn't get the same type of service?
Yeah, that is an excellent point, Ron.
And we've seen that from Hubsan and Fimi too, right? The big channels get different levels of customer service than a guy who has 50 subscribers.
Yeah. Well, they consider Marcus an influencer, which is fine, and that's to be understood. Marcus works very hard at what he does, and he puts a lot of due diligence in his testing of drones. I mean, no one will question that. There's absolutely no one. And the good thing about Marcus is, if that drone's good or bad, he just puts everything out there for you, the audience, to judge. Okay, he's not being the judge here. All right, and this is the same thing here. But getting conflicting stories from Autel, whether it's a hardware or a software issue. I mean, he was actually sent photographs with the area circled with what the problem was, and then someone else gets told something different. I mean, this is not good. Okay, this is definitely not a good thing. On top of
Marcus did back that up a little bit by saying that when people saw his screen recording of that flight with his new Nano, that he had firmware on there that nobody else had. So, if it is truly a firmware fix, then why did they go through the dampener thing or whatever?
Yeah, that does not make any sense. And why did they make such a big deal about sending a picture and telling him about that?
Yeah.
If there wasn't, and then and the thing that gets me throughout all this, Ron, is they're raising the price increase. I mean,
And Marcus made a joke that's to pay for the cost of having all these nanos come back and replacing the dampeners.
He might be right. Really, I mean, that's just what
Somebody said about tariffs, but I said, well, those tariffs are last year's tariffs. They didn't raise tariffs just the other day.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, what did he say? He paid 175 to ship the other one back,
and of course it didn't get back. It never got past Salt Lake City or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
well, we basically warned everybody off. Please do not order from Autel pilots because once you have a problem, they'll stop responding to you. You have to force them to take a return through PayPal or something, and then they even have a deal with PayPal that PayPal makes that PayPal won't give the money back unless you ship it back at your own cost.
Yeah. And that's not right.
The rule of thumb, Bill, is don't buy these drones from anybody that you cannot return to the U.S. If you have to return your product outside the 48, lower 48, as they say, don't buy from that company.
100%, and that's what I told everybody, Ron. I said, you know what, you need to buy from a brick and mortar here in the United States, a place where you can either physically take it back to or ship it back to in the United States. Period.
Or an Amazon who has the world's greatest return policy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Amazon, Best Buy, if they end up listing it, B&H, Adorama, and
the last time I checked, none of those companies have the Nano legitimately for sale. They may be a third party seller on there selling it jacked up a couple $100, but it's not coming from those warehouses.
Right. And
so to me, it's not a real product yet when somebody just somebody's somehow got a hold of some from China and they're scamming you and marking up a couple $100. Well, they're marking up quicker than Autel's marking it up. The third party sellers.
Really. I mean,
this is kind of the worst drone release I've ever seen by a major player. I mean, maybe Hubs or Fimi have done worse, but by somebody that's really got some legitimate clout behind them, or they got a good reputation. This is. Mike, can I say it, Bill? This is like a Mike Tomlin rollout. Is that what?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mike Tomlin hired the two offensive coaches he hired. They were who he hired them from had the third worst offense in the NFL. So I mean, here we go again with just
and you went from Bruce Arians to the third worst.
Yeah, I mean, the water boy off the bench is now calling the shots, and I mean, it's the same thing here. Who's minding the store at Autel? I mean, this is just.
And that Maxwell Lee seems like a real sharp guy when you hear him in interviews.
Yeah, I've heard his interviews, and he does sound. You're right. He does sound articulate, well spoken, well educated, like he knows what he's talking about. And this is just a disaster after disaster.
And the PR is so bad on this, Bill, that it kind of takes away that the other product they released, the Light, seems to be a pretty solid drone.
Yeah.
But this PR for this Nano has just kind of put a cloud over the drone they did release. Right now, my recommendation, if you're thinking about buying a light drone, unless you live in a Europe or someplace that requires that $250 drone, cancel that order, cancel that sale, and just get the Light.
Yeah, I mean that's great advice, Ron. Because I saw Ken Donna's video on the Light, and I was really impressed with it. It looks like it's a very capable drone. And then too, I was just before you came on. If you figure it, what the price of the Nano Plus is, you go and spend a couple $100 more, you can get an Air 2S. I mean,
right.
Seriously.
Right.
Right.
And a lot of people say, oh, but the Nano, it could, it's low light, you can shoot in the dark or whatever. Well, what good shoot in the dark if I got jello and I can't fly in the wind and, I can't return it because it has those problems. I mean, being able to shoot in the dark doesn't mean anything if the rest of the drone doesn't work right.
Yeah. And Marcus just posted in the chat, Autel released a SkyApp update and a Nano firmware update. So
today, huh? Just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
A few minutes ago. So we'll see where that's headed. I mean, no sooner than Marcus gets it up, horizon tilt. Okay. I mean, seriously, I'm looking at that and I'm just like, is that a Fimi or what?
Yeah, I mean, almost all the recent drones, even the Mavic 3, when I post a video, some people still say, "Oh, I saw a little horizon tilt." I mean, it's not, it seems like no drone release this year. Well, no drone release since the Air 2S has not had a horizon tilt.
Yeah, there's been something wrong, inherently wrong with all these releases, Ron. Everything. I mean,
Can we blame on the COVID?
yeah. I mean, or who knows? I mean, it's just crazy. It really is.
The COVID even got to the drones now, or it's yeah. I mean, the people that stood pat in their Air 2S are the smart people, Bill. The people stopped buying after the Air 2S release are the smart ones.
Absolutely, and right now, I would just if you're still interested in getting an Autel product right now, take a just take a back seat, all right, and take a look and see what's going on and watch this out. And I encourage you to watch. Marcus.
If you don't need the mini drone, take a look at a used Evo 2 Pro or whatever. Probably get that for a nice price, and that's been out almost 2 years. It's a proven drone that has no major issues.
So. Absolutely. I mean, that's the way to go, is to look at something like that.
Yeah.
Things in we're gonna kind of switch gears here, but one of the things, and I know you guys kind of talked about this a little bit last night, is the Countering CCP Drones Act, and I wanted to talk about this and show an article. And again, everything I post here, you're gonna see that in the out on Bill Drone Review Facebook group and page. But let me go ahead and bring this article up and get it here. All right, U.S. senators take another shot at DJI, the Countering CCP Drones Act. Okay, and I won't mention they're the senators from Florida, who I'm not real happy with. Okay, so well,
I mean, it's not just Florida. I mean, it's Florida senators, but there's other ones too. Whatever.
Yeah, there's other ones too. Yeah, from Arkansas, and and to me,
and there's a Republican from New York. So I don't think this is a partisan issue here or whatever.
No, it's not a partisan issue, and that's one thing I want to make real clear about this. Okay, and covered list, which identifies telecommunication equipment that poses a threat to America's national security, according to the senator's press release, and bans their use in U.S. communications infrastructure. Okay, Chinese drone maker DJI has repeatedly lied about its links to the Chinese Communist Party while collecting vast quantities of Americans' data. The FCC should act immediately to further ban DJI by adding it to its covered list. Okay. Communist China funds technology like drones made by DJI to spy on Americans and steal their data. The United States government should under no circumstances purchase drones made in communist China and put our national security at risk. And that's why my colleagues and I introduced the American Security Drone Act. The Countering CCP Drones Act is the next step to ensure that federal funds from the FCC cannot be used to obtain communication equipment and services produced or provided by DJI. Okay. And so forth. And I'll let you guys.
You skip down the next paragraph. It says Chinese companies are beholden to the Chinese Communist Party. That's like to read about that. So he said Chinese companies. So is that casting a wider net than DJI? Is that saying Chinese companies? Could that be all Chinese drone companies?
That could be every one, Ron.
People think I'll just go to Autel. Well, Autel's a Chinese company. What if some senator doesn't like them tomorrow and says, "Oh, they're sending data back too. They're going on the cover list."
Well, I noticed last night in the chat, in your chat last night, while I was watching your show, Lon posted something about them moving their like Autel and DJI moving their headquarters to Hong Kong or
Taiwan, actually, which is
Taiwan,
not under communist China control.
That's not under CCP rules. So, I mean, it's a different world over in China. Let me put you that way. All right.
Let me ask you this, Bill. If DJI is really under the Communist Party control, would it even allow them to move to Taiwan? So
very good question.
Taiwan would prove that they weren't under Chinese government control, right? Or they wouldn't let them do it.
Right. But I think everything's so strict around there. And I think we kind of got an inkling of that with Barry. you know, and
Mhm.
how they're handling the Olympics. I mean, it's pretty tight. They got things buttoned up pretty well over there.
Yeah, no, and that's no surprise to anybody that's paying attention, right?
No,
I
no,
mean,
and
you've read all the stuff about Hong Kong in the last couple of years. You know, they slowly taking the rights away that the people enjoyed in Hong Kong for decades now.
yeah,
Slowly, but
and
surely taking over the newspapers and the media and so on. So none of this should come to any surprise. But
right.
back to your article, the senators they say all this stuff and it sounds really good, but it's them quoting themselves. They're not quoting the FBI or the CIA or any intelligence industry or whatever. They're not quoting where they're getting any of this information from.
That's a good
And you
point.
know, I mean, senators aren't news gatherers; they're lawmakers, whatever. They don't have their own investigative team behind them. They you know they're lawmakers. They investigate things, but they don't you know they investigate in the U.S. They don't have
Right, they get their
they don't have
information.
associates in foreign nations. That's like FBI, CIA. That's that type of stuff. They're not quoting any government fact gathering thing.
Right. You
Yeah.
know, like we obtained from the FBI or we obtained from, you know,
They don't say we have documents or we have photos or we
we
have
have
videos.
documents of
They're
this and
saying
this and this.
nothing. Basically, if you read between the lines, they're saying this is our opinion.
Well, I think one of the other things too, and I think we need to remember this, the way the language is structured in it, and I read the actual act. This is purely aimed right now. Its intent is purely aimed right now at the U.S. government purchasing any Chinese drones. Okay,
Yeah,
so
if you read thoroughly, Bill, I can't deter because they kind of go both directions. At one point, it sounds like they want to ban all drone sales, but then another part of the bill sounds like they just want to ban drone sales to government agencies or any
right.
law anybody doing for state, local, or federal government. But then other parts it sounds like everybody. So I don't really I don't think they even know what they're saying in the bill.
Right. So, but I just kind of want to leave that there, and I want to leave that for some food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you could do is you can, write your congressman and hope that, say when that bill comes before you, please read it carefully and examine the facts of the bill
exactly,
and not the opinions of the bill.
Is and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. All right, and I think Marcus may have said this, and I'm not sure, but any of our satellites can get the data on, say, infrastructure over in China that we would need. Okay, and I'm sure the Chinese have their own satellites that get their own data about our infrastructure. So I mean, I'm just going to leave it here.
I put this example out there, Bill. If I was a Chinese spy agency and I needed photos or drone video of some kind of important infrastructure like a dam, a power plant, or whatever, why would I sit here and wait for Bill the drone reviewer that happen by there one day and take a little video that you may not get that location for the next 3 years? Why don't I just have one of my spies go over there and get the video tomorrow rather than wait for an amateur American drone pilot that happened by this infrastructure where he won't the DJI drone won't even take off anywhere because it's probably in a no-fly zone at this critical infrastructure. So I mean, if that's their only system for spying on our infrastructure, they're not going to be very successful, Bill.
No, they're not. No. I wanted to talk just for a minute before we get to our main topic of the night, with the Mavic 3. Now, recently I put out a couple of videos. One I did looking at the GPS issue, and the other one was hyperlapse. And it was interesting because I did a hyperlapse with waypoints, Ron.
And I saw your video and want to congratulate you on
demonstrating
how to do the waypoint hyperlapse.
And what was interesting was obstacle avoidance got engaged.
Yeah.
And it stopped it because it was at least 300 feet from where, the other waypoint was.
So it could have been no structure up there. It could have only been a bird or
something
some kind
flying,
of sun flare or something like that.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it stopped and it did what it was supposed to do. And I was pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing that I've had other obstacle avoidance drones. Those birds fly by it, so fast it doesn't even see them. So
Yeah, well,
that is amazing. Yeah.
apparently, because when it's in that hyperlapse mode, it's traveling about 2 miles an hour, 3 miles
Yeah.
an hour, so it's
Yeah.
going pretty slow.
Yeah.
So I think it could pick up things a lot quicker. So I was pretty pleased with that. The other thing I wanted to mention too was I've gotten several other people have sent me, that it's taken some gargantuan amount of time for some people, like 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes to get a lock on satellites to be able to take off. And while I've been fortunate, and again, I hate to say this, and I know we kind of talked about this last week a little bit, but a lot of this can be due to the Earth's rotation, where the sun is, and I mentioned this. There's a thing called propagation in ham radio, and that enables you to be able to talk, halfway around the world, basically speaking. And a lot of times on different bands, on one band it may be great at day, but in another band you need to start at night because the way that the radio waves bounce off the atmosphere. And it could be the same thing here too with this.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can't leave DJI off that easy, because you could take your $450 Mini 2, sit it right beside the Mavic 3. That'll take 5 minutes to get, and the Mini's got to be in less than a minute. So all the things you said are true. But if you take another DJI drone or any other drone and it gets them in a minute, kind of all that stuff's out the window, right?
Yeah, it kind of is. I'm thinking, it is a new OcuSync, a new communication system. That it may be causing some interference with the GPS. Who knows? But I think this is something DJI needs to address sooner rather than
I
later.
mean, we had a big, almost entire show conversation on Coast to Coast Drones last week about it's replacing the GLONASS, which I believe is the Russian satellite system, with the Chinese satellite system, and that they don't have as many satellites around. And then Bill was saying that he thinks they rely too much on the Galileo satellite system, that they still have 2 key satellites that aren't in service yet. And his theory was, once those 2 Galileo systems are fully functional, that will alleviate some of the issues.
Okay. Well, that's something I think we need to.
All this is just hypotheticals and theory, but let's keep our fingers crossed, because for you and I, Bill, that are basically hobbyists, waiting 5-6 minutes or whatever. Yeah, we'd like to get going, whatever, but it's not critical. If it's a nice day out there, we just enjoy the weather or something like that. But for the working professionals that need to get the shot quick, they got to jump from site to site quick. Yeah, that's not acceptable.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be addressed for them. Main topic tonight is a Mini 3. And we're hearing a lot of chatter about this. Mm-hmm. And I did find an article, and I wanted to go ahead and share this with you. Now, this article was from February the 5th, and it wasn't from the usual sources here. So let me go.
Not our good friend Acetalev, or?
Well, actually, it's embedded with some information from Acetalev in the article here. Okay, DJI Mini 3 release date and specifications. Okay, now this is on flythatdrone.com. And he talks about the fall of 2019 with DJI coming out with the first mini drone, and then the Mini 2. Let's discuss the Mini 3 release date, what we know about rumors, specifications, price, etc. Now the Mini 3 has he's stating here the Mini 3 has a release date looking like this of April of 2022. A leaked product roadmap by Drone Deals on Twitter reveals several products in line for the 2022 release, including the Mini 3. According to the leaked roadmap, the Mini 3 release date is April 2022. Let's go ahead. I'm going to bring that up here.
And this all follows the roadmap that Acetalev leaked, almost early January.
Right. Now you can see right here, this is April. You can see here June, RS, RS3, RSC3, FPV Mini, Inspire 3, which looks like September, and a Pocket 3, the question mark, looks like in November. So again, this is all just
right, basically working off the Acetalev roadmap from
right now here. I recently received an email from Autel PR agency informing me Autel is releasing a new sub 250 called Nano Plus. Okay, now that's some previous news. Now there was another article here that I wanted to get to. Okay, yeah. This is from
That's a diagram that I think CLEV released.
Yeah, yeah. He released this information as well too, talking about the battery, the obstacle avoidance on here. Apart
Here
from
you
the
go.
3
Here's some Mini 2 specs.
Yeah, the flight time on the Mini 2 is an impressive 31 minutes, but can be further improved in Mini 3. Competitors are offering 40 plus minutes of flight time. Optical or digital zoom can be increased for better photography. The Mini 2 only offers up to 4x zoom. The Xeno Mini has a larger f 1.85 aperture compared to the f 2.8 of the Mini 2. Larger aperture means better photography in low light conditions. A better camera resolution on the Mini 3 could be an incentive to upgrade. The current Mini 2 only offers 12 megapixel, which is sometimes insufficient in post-production if you want to zoom in and crop images. The Mini 2 doesn't come with integrated storage, so you have to buy a compatible SD for the Mini 2. Mini 3 can have a fast onboard storage option like other high-end drones. Famous DJI pilot and insider Autel shared his own concept of the Mini 3 specs, which illustrates what's possible in store for the new release. See the below image Autel shared on Twitter, and I'll let you guys look at this at your leisure. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, Ron, is it's interesting. He has an April date down here for this release. That sounds very realistic. It sounds very doable. I would say early April. I think it's. I don't think it's going to be late April. I think it's going to be an early April kind of a release that we're going to see. And the other thing that's
this follows the release pattern. They've released the Air 2 and the Air 2S in April the past 2 years in a row. So this kind of follows their release pattern for the spring.
That's a good point. And the other thing that he doesn't mention in this article, but there's been some other ones, and I didn't find the source for that, but that a Mini SE is going to come out at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a source, but when you just off the things you read on Facebook and Twitter and just the internet in general, you see people mention, but that's more of a rumor than a source.
Yeah, that's more of a rumor than an actual source. It's kind of wishful thinking, but the other thing is a Mini FPV drone. That's on the horizon. I mean, that's not going to come out
summer, supposedly. Yeah,
that sounds like a summer kind of thing. So, Ron, this is exciting stuff. I mean, and I will say this. All right, when it comes out of the gate, all right, you're not going to have dampener issues. You're not going to have. I mean, it's going to be right out of the box. You power it up, maybe a quick firmware update, gimbal calibration, boom, you're ready to go.
Right, because a whole bunch of testers will have had it in their hands for months before this. If it does have a dampener issue, it'll be fixed way before the general public gets it.
And see, here's the thing again, and I'm going to go back to Hubson and Fimi. They chose to have us be their beta testers. And I know Gorilla Man said alpha testers, but we were chosen. And I kind of think Autel's kind of done the same thing because, they're in a hurry to get to market and, they want to get this out. And I understand they don't have the kind of staff and personnel that a DJI doesn't have, but, you need to put something out that's going to you need to put a quality product out. If you're not putting a quality product out, that's going to really not bode well for your company, Ron.
Well, we talked about this a little bit before in the past. I mean, Autel's released, their Autel Evo line of drones that has been a good product in 2 generations, but they're not a biggest company like DJI, and they're basically released 4 new models because you have the Nano, you have 2 Nanos and 2 Lights. Trying to release 4 products at the same time for a company their size, do you think that was just a little bit? They bit off a little bit more they could chew in this one, Bill.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Ron. That's like DJI could pull off something like that.
But they don't even do it.
They don't do it. Exactly. You don't see DJI releasing like a multiple product line at the same time kind of a thing. Okay, it's one thing, that's coming out at that time. Okay, you're not seeing, oh, we're going to do 4 generations of the Mini. Okay, no, they're going to come out with one, maybe a second one, a Mini SE. We'll see, but they're not, and which for them it's just an easy. It's making that is going to be easy for them because you just swap out the internals. I mean, along the production line. It's going to have the same body, the same props, same ESC, everything. It's going to be the same. And you're really not going to be doing a whole lot different for something like that.
Yeah. And an SE makes sense for the Mini 3 in the fact that, okay, if they kind of go, what do you call, full go on the Mini 3 and try to spec it out with a 1-inch sensor, the obstacle avoidance, all that stuff, to compete with the Nano, whatever. Well, now we're looking at what, we're looking at $800-900 price point or whatever. And I believe, this is my opinion, I believe the Mini 1 and Mini 2 were so successful. They're probably the most sold drones that DJI has ever put out. Is not because of the 250 grams, it's because of the price.
Mm-hmm.
So if they throw everything in the Mini 3 but the kitchen sink, but put the price up to like $800-900, they're going to turn all the people off that love the first 2 Minis because of that price point. But if they could make an all-out Mini 3, spec it out, price up, but then it could come out with an SE version that didn't have the 1-inch sensor, didn't have the obstacle avoidance, but was priced to compete in the market. They could get both ends of that. They could take sales away from the Nano series, the higher priced Nano series, but still get the people that are out looking, that prices are main concern, not 250 grams, not 1-inch sensor cameras.
That's you hit the nail on the head, Ron. I know a lot of our friends over in the UK and in Europe, like Stephen Ewing, that 250 gram is important to them, and it does. And up in Canada, Lauren and company up in Canada, it's important for them to have that drone, because of regulations and licensing and so forth, and it makes it easier to fly. But for us, it's really kind of negligible. But you really hit the nail on the head. It's all about the price, okay? If you're looking at 2 same products, okay, and you're getting the same thing from both of them, and they both have decent quality, and one's less than the other, I mean, it's a no-brainer, okay? And this is what it is in this instance here, okay? Because that's why this drone has sold so well. DJI has priced it competitively, okay? I don't think they priced themselves out.
Ultra competitive.
Yeah.
It's almost like they don't charge enough for it, especially.
Yeah, for what they're charging for the SE, that's crazy, Ron. That is just absolutely crazy because of how good a drone it is. I mean, I had it. And it was flawless. I mean, even on a moderately windy day, it still was just fine. I had no issues with something like that.
To me, Bill, if they're only going to release one Mini 3, they're not going to have an SE. They're just going to have one version. If I was DJI, and I'm not DJI by any means, but if I was them, I would not go the route where I put all the bells and whistles in, throw the kitchen sink in, and make a $900 drone and have the obstacle avoidance, the 1-inch sensor, all that crazy stuff. I would actually have it spec below the Nano series, but I'd have it priced to win.
Well, here's my thing, Ron, and this is what I have to say about this. Okay, I think obstacle avoidance. Okay, and forgive my terminology. It's the sexy option. Okay, it's the one that's gonna attract people. All right. But truth be told, with obstacle avoidance, all right, when you get to start flying drones and you get some experience and you get, some ground beneath your feet and you get a firm handle on this drone, okay, you do not need obstacle avoidance, okay? That obstacle avoidance is really, I mean, it's a very nice thing on a drone like the Mavic 3, don't get me wrong, okay? Especially like if you're backing up, if you're doing a shot where you have to back up, you can't see back there. That's a good thing, okay? And a lot of professionals appreciate that. All right.
Well, and if you're doing a return to home and you don't have your height set enough for the highest object, it won't slam into the side of a tall building or something.
Exactly. But with the mini drones, okay, more often than not, okay, you're seeing everything that drone is doing. You have, which you should, by the way, because of FAA regulations. You have an eye on it all the time, and you really don't need that obstacle avoidance. I mean, really, if you've gotten some, flying under your belt and you have some experience, That's
And
not
remember, the Mini's only going to get limited obstacle avoidance anyway, so a rookie pilot could still get themselves in trouble with a
Yeah.
drone that only has like front obstacle avoidance. We've said this before, I think, too. The obstacle avoidance sounds great, but it's only really a couple high-end drones that really have it nailed down. That really is going to save your bacon in every situation. Your Skydio 2, your Evo 2 Pro has 1 million sensors. The Mavic 3, and even throw the Mavic 2 series there. Those 4 drones have the sensors almost on every side, top, bottom, side, back, front. They're the only series of drones that really is going to save your bacon in almost all circumstances, outside of thin wires, whatever. The other ones that have limited obstacle avoidance, I mean, if you go sideways, if you're tracking and goes sideways or does something where one of the sensors doesn't see, you're toast anyway. So the rookies relying on obstacle avoidance, that's not that good either, because they don't have the good obstacle avoidance drones.
Right, and you're having to spend. You're going to be spending about $1,000 or more to get those kind of drones, Ron. I mean,
$1,000, way over $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose of getting a mini drone, because one of the things, like you just said about 3 minutes ago, is the price. Okay, that's the thing that really grabs and attracts people. I think, and this is just my opinion, and I don't know, Frank Wang, I don't know if you're listening or not, but I think it would be better to put something in like a 1-inch sensor versus obstacle avoidance in a drone like this, Ron, because they can do that. They can still keep it at a reasonable price, and you're getting an incredible camera in a very small package.
Yeah. If the weight of the 1-inch sensor is not too much for a small gimbal, and it doesn't hurt the battery life too much. I mean, it's a lot of things. Everything's a sacrifice. 1-inch camera sensor is good, but what do you have to sacrifice on the back end for it?
Yeah, exactly. And you may have to sacrifice, in that article talks about runtime with something like this. Okay.
Yeah, it said 31 minutes. So we don't, once you put obstacle avoidance in, there goes your runtime, Bill.
Your runtime. Yeah. Your runtime's going to, you got to have give and take with something like this. You have this, you got to give up something, it's one of those kind of things. And that's what it is in this instance. Okay. You're going to have to give up some of that battery life. I mean, that's just going to be a natural consequence of something like this. I mean, that's just, I think, the way it is.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, I mean, the Mini 3 is going to be one of the most interesting drones of the year, because what's going to be interesting to us is, again, how much they spec it out, how much are they willing to, to bump the price up to spec it out.
Yeah,
that's going to be the most interesting thing to see, because if it comes out again, it's got every bell and whistle, and I'm going to go, oh no, it's going to cost $900.
Yeah, and I don't I don't think. Okay, now I heard somebody say about 645, 650 for a Mini.
That's been Lauren's 650 prediction all along, which I mean, if it's spec'd out enough, 650 is a good price if it brings some good specs to the table.
Yeah.
And I don't mean obstacle avoidance, but
and that's what I think. Folks are so all wrapped up with obstacle avoidance, and everybody fell into the trap with especially with Hubsan, and them saying, we're going to have obstacle avoidance and a 40-minute runtime, and we're going to have be incredible camera and everything, and they fell short.
Hubsan nailed that spec sheet when they last April. The spec sheet was great, but they couldn't deliver the goods, as they say.
They couldn't deliver the goods. It's like you're being told you're going to get 5 pancakes in 5 pieces of bacon, and you get 2 pieces of pancakes and 1 bacon. I mean, it's like, okay, where's the rest? Where is it? You over promised and under delivered.
Right.
Is what this is. So
yeah. And on the latest reports, Brian Singleton just tried to update firmware the other day on his Zero Mini Pro, and he didn't have any luck at all. Like he couldn't get it going or something. He said it may never fly again, and called it a turd. So he still no progress. So
well, so what'd you think of the Super Bowl, Ron? I know you guys talked about it a little bit last night, but
well, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just being, getting too jaded here, but I've watched a lot of Super Bowls and the game is close, which is good. But I didn't really see any exceptional play in the game. Like other Super Bowls, we've seen exceptional plays being made, exceptional drives. Where this game, it just looked like a normal regular season game or whatever. And what I didn't like is it seems like the referees who missed the most important call of the game, that face mask on the Rams player when the says they scored their first down. That's the one obvious call. They missed it totally. Then they're calling a bunch of ticky-tack holding calls.
Procedure.
When it was 4-1, the linebacker stopped the play. All of a sudden, they say, well, the linebacker held. And the replay showed he did have some hands on it. But that happens on every play. They could call a flag on every play in the game if they're calling what they called on the Cincinnati linebacker there. So, again, that kind of put a stain on me that the referees took the game over at the end.
I agree. I agree with you. The only thing for me, I was happy for Matthew Stafford because he spent, I don't know how many years with the Lions, and they were going nowhere. He comes to the Rams and boom, they win the Super Bowl. I mean, really. And then Cup, he's
he's the real deal, no doubt about it.
My hats off to him. The one thing I will say that kind of stood out for me was the Rams defense. I mean, they were tenacious. I mean, how many times did they sack Bengals quarter? I think it was like 8,
it was 9 at one point, and he may have got
9 times. Yeah,
but he led the league in getting sacked though, so it's not all just the Rams.
He didn't have his offensive line wasn't the best. So
it's kind of that's kind of an empty stat too, because maybe he's taking a sack instead of throwing an interception or
true.
Crazy. Would you rather have a quarterback take a sack than throw it up for grabs and get it?
Exactly. I'd rather that. We still got the ball. So we'll see on that. Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Ron?
No, it's just looking forward to the Florida Drone meetup here. Where we're more than a month away, but we're getting close. And who knows? Ray Kelly's hoping to see a Mini 3 at the Florida Drone meetup. But you just said earlier you think it's going to be sooner in April. Later, maybe it'll make its first appearance at Jensen Beach.
Maybe we could all run down to the local Best Buy and pick ours up.
You imagine all of a sudden that'd be a great video. 20 guys take a Mini 3 off at the same time over the water. I just hope they all don't wind up in a drink. That'll be the worst commercial ever for a DJI. So
I ordered my shirt.
Okay, I did too.
Right, I ordered my shirt yesterday.
You pick it up at the event.
So I got that taken care of.
Get Ray to autograph it for you if you want.
Yes, I will. And I think we're going to go ahead and stay overnight. I debated about driving over, but it's about 3 hours.
3 hours either way. You're going to be dead by the time you get home.
Yeah, and I told Valerie, I said, I think we just probably want to stay overnight Friday night. So I'm going to start checking into that. But yeah, we're excited about that. So, but yeah, last week I was off, and I explained at the start of the show. I mean,
right.
It was a good week to be off. I mean, kind of wrap our heads around some things and just get our thoughts together. And
Definitely.
Later this spring we'll have a celebration of life for my father-in-law, and really looking forward to that. And I feel I'm remembering a lot of the good things and a lot of funny things. And the one thing he never ceased to do was make me laugh. So and that's what I told Valerie. I said that's how I'm going to remember him, because I asked him, how you feeling? He says, with my hands. Okay. He always had some kind of snappy comeback all the time. He was sharp as a tack. And, it's Valerie's mother's doing as well as can be expected at this point. She's got a lot of support from all the children, and that's great. We live fairly close to her, so that's good too. Valerie's gone over there several times, and so have some of her other sisters. So, all in all, it's about as well as can be expected for something like this. But it's actually kind of good to get back to work. Kind of putting kind of stuff aside. So
yeah.
Well, that's
a quick note too. I don't know if you mentioned the show, you're aware, but our good friend Lauren Donner up in Canada, he lost his father over the weekend.
Oh,
so I
that's
want to
right.
send condolences out to Lauren. Yeah.
Yeah, we extend our sympathies to Lauren and his family at the loss of his father. I'm really sorry to hear about that, Lauren.
Yeah.
Our thoughts and prayers are with you. That's again, it's just not an easy thing. Never is, never will be. So, Well, that's it for tonight. We had a great show.
Good
Hope you
night.
guys enjoyed it. And as always, remember, guys, it's a great day to fly. Take care.